Going to compare my 2021 Pro XP to my 2017 YXZ. The YXZ I rode for about 3 years, had almost 4,000 miles on it. This thing I now have about 980 miles on it. And I just figured, I've looked around, I haven't seen too many reviews of people explaining the difference and which one they prefer. And so I got a lot of time in this now, and I rode this. I got to finally put 400 miles on it in Michigan, the last video. And the YXZ was same kind of riding all over the county. I took this up to Northern Ontario. Basically the same thing. So I finally have a chance now that I can give you guys a good idea of what I think of this compared to the YXZ. So first off, we'll start off with, this has way more power. Clearly has way more power, you notice it, which is a good thing. Bad thing is, it's belt driven. I had some issues with the belt, which I explained in some of my other videos. It's mainly it must be oil or something on the clutches. I don't know, I got it figured out now. So other than that, no problems. And I've had this same belt on since about 160 miles, I think. So not doing too bad. I'm gonna run it one more trip coming up in a few weeks. I'm gonna keep the same belt on it. I'm assuming I should be able to get 2,000 miles out of it. Like, I'm not really that easy on this machine, but we'll find out. So other than that, it's automatic compared to the YXZ. My YXZ was a 5-speed with the foot clutch, which I recommend if you are looking to buy a YXZ. The foot clutch is way more fun than the paddle shift, and you just have way more control over the machine with your foot clutch. So which one would be more fun to drive? What makes this a little more fun, I guess you would say, is the power difference. There's just an insane amount of power difference. I mean, the Yamaha should do something to increase their power, but they're not for some reason. There's no shifting. I did get this. I switched up with my brother. He's got a YXZ, just to see the difference, and just so I can jump out of one seat right into the other. And right away, the YXZ, shifting that thing it's a blast, especially in the trails in Michigan, because they're windy, they're wide, they're fast. And then what I did notice right away is the YXZ doesn't handle as good as this thing. I compared my YXZ to the old XPs, the older style, and the YXZ would outhandle those by far. But you get in this thing, and this thing handles way better than I thought it was going to handle. So handling wise, I would give this thing above the YXZ. Obviously, suspension is a lot better on this thing. This isn't the Ultimate, so it doesn't have the electronic shocks, but it's the same suspension. I gotta manually adjust it, which I've actually left it on the factory setting so far, and it's done pretty good. I am gonna adjust the sag on it, I think, and go from there. Like, I did notice I did bottom out in a few. If you've ever been to the bowl in St. Helen, there's some really big moguls there. Like, I'm 3 or 4 footers, so I was hitting that as fast as I could go. And it was hitting the machine. I was bottoming out, but I had full control over it. And to where the Yamaha, you can, if you basically ride the Yamaha like a dirt bike and just pin it across, it'll take the whoops too, but you know you're hitting them. Where this is more of a way softer of a ride. Obviously, you can't compare the suspension too much on the machines. They're the same width. This one I measured a little wider. I think it's just because it's got these wider tires on it. So you don't really notice that too much. Like, you're driving it, it's about the same width. The YXZ feels smaller to drive, which, I mean, it's a smaller machine. You can see a little more of the front end in your wheels with the YXZ compared to this. You do notice jumping out of a YXZ into this, you notice the difference. This is bigger for sure. Like I said, you don't really notice the width. It's just a bigger machine all around to drive. And As for reliability so far, I mean, my YZ had almost 4,000 trouble-free miles on it. I just changed oil in it, put one set of back tires on it. Those factory Bighorns actually last quite a while. To where this one, these Maxxis tires they're wearing not too bad. Like I said, it's almost 1,000 miles, and I do a lot of, like, if I ride around here, I got to hit the roads to get to certain spots. So they're not wearing too bad. I'm pretty impressed so far. But I don't think they'll be as good as the Bighorns, the factory tires that come on the YZ. Comfort-wise, in your cab and the seats. The YZ is a comfortable machine with the factory seats and everything, so can't really say which one's better. I mean, this has a little more room in it. These seats are really nice. These bucket seats, these factory Polaris seats, they put in these. I would say the seats are a little bit nicer. They tuck you in a little bit better in this machine than the YZ. But for leg room, I'm 6 feet tall. Now for leg room and everything, YZ is just as much room as this, I think, myself. Like I said, with the YZ, you see more of the front end, where this you don't. This one you definitely sit in a bit lower than the original XP, which I kind of like. It's a little more comfortable that way. For your gauges, the gauges on this are both equal to the Yamaha. The Yamaha has a good set of gauges on theirs. These tell you everything. I think this has a little more info on it than the Yamaha. So basically, guys, I'm happy with this purchase. This machine surprised me in the trails. Because like I said, I only got to ride it in rocks and mud and stuff. Just around here, you can't really get to use the suspension, the full potential of this machine. So when I get to Michigan, I put 400 miles on Michigan. I rode all the different terrain, climbed the hills and everything. And this machine impressed me. Compared to the XPs, this thing, I find it dives. Like, it hugs the corners. Like, I'll give you an example here. So my brother was behind me in his YZ, and I was in this, and I was running pretty hard. Not even close to where I felt like I was going out of control with this. I was just kind of cruising, but at a fast pace. And he said it took all he had in that Yamaha for power-wise. He could outdrive that machine, but it was just he didn't have enough power, and he said he could barely keep up to me, where I was not given this thing yet. So if I really wanted to hammer on this thing for those trails, you're going to leave a YZ in the dust. And I thought it was the opposite when I had a Yamaha, because that thing hugged the trail so good. I think if you're in the older XPs, yeah, this thing will outrun them, and same with the YZ. But this machine, I feel like, even when I switched, my brother said the same thing. He goes, you can tell you can go a lot faster with this machine in the trails. It just handles better, and it just has more power. I mean, that makes such a big difference. So I guess if you're watching this video and you're wondering if you have a YZ and you're maybe thinking, you know, since you were waiting for Yamaha for so many years here to put a turbo and do some better suspension or something on their machines, and they're just apparently not doing it for some reason. So if you're looking at one of these, I can't really tell you what a Can-Am's like. I just rode one around a field once. The only thing I didn't like about the Can-Am is you sit way too low in the front end sticks. I just didn't like the way you sit in it. And it's a little longer. I just preferred one of these. So if you're on a YZ and you're thinking maybe I'm going to try out the Pro XP like I decided to, I would say do it. You're not going to regret it. If you can keep both machines, I could have. But I ended up selling the YZ just because, like, to cart two machines around, and am I really going to use it? But if you have the room in the trailer and you can keep both machines, I would keep the YZ because it's a fun machine. But if you're going to just go with one side-by-side, and you're thinking of trying this and getting rid of the YZ, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I was a little skeptical at first because it did miss the shifting for sure and the sound of the Yamaha. But once I got riding this, now I'm comfortable with it. I'm happy with the purchase. Will I go back to a Yamaha if they come out with a turbo with a little better suspension? And I really hope when they do this, they keep the 5-speed manual. If they do, yes, I'll go back to the Yamaha for one, because I don't trust these belts. And where I live, when we ride around here, the cops do not like these things, and they will, if they pull you over and you stop for them, they're going to impound it. You get a whole list of fines, so you're just better off running. And the problem is with these things, if that belt blows, well, you're done. You're caught. To where the Yamaha, there's no belt to blow on it. So reliability, I'd rather be on the Yamaha. But so far, I got 850 miles of reliable, like no issues with it at all. And basically, I think after the first 400 or 500 miles, if something's gonna break, it's gonna break. So now I'm just gonna do one more trip on this thing, pull the clutches off, or the clutch cover off, and just blow up the clutches, check the belt. I think everything will be fine. And that's about it for maintenance wise. So again, if you're watching this and you're thinking of buying one of these, and getting rid of your YZ to try something new, yeah, I would. I don't think you'd be disappointed. I definitely 100% am not disappointed. I was 50-50 going before I got the trail ride it in Michigan, which is where I do most of my riding. Now that I have, I'm glad I made this purchase. In Canada, I know Michigan or the States is different, but in Canada, these things are about the same price as Yamaha. That's the other thing. So you want a brand new 5-speed Yamaha with the XTR, whatever those things are. They got the new better tires and everything on them. You're same money as you're paying for this thing. And you got double the suspension, you got double the power. So I mean, that's where I looked at too. Like, so I wanted to upgrade my machine regardless. And the amount of machine you get for the same money you're paying for Yamaha, this is the way to go. I mean, you see all kinds of issues online, but guys, you know what? There's issues with the Yamahas too. Some of them have bad machines, and Polaris has bad machines, Can-Am have bad machines. They come out of the factory like that. So far, hopefully this one's good. I'm not going to do a review video on this yet, because I don't think I have enough miles on it. I want to do maybe a 1,500 mile review, so after my next trip, I'll do a full review on, I figure by 1,500 miles, if nothing's broke yet, then still pretty good. So again, happy with the purchase. Like I said, if you're watching this, go for it, man. Go buy the Pro XP, or I guess order it, unless you can find one. Now, I'll do a quick talk here about that new Pro R. That's not for me, it's too wide. I'll never go wider than the 64s, especially this machine here. It handles, I was watching some videos and guys that have rode the Turbo S, which is the older style body and everything in the suspension. They said this handles as good as a Turbo S. And I rode a Turbo S a little bit, and I didn't like it at all. I just felt it was like felt like I was in a Jeep. It's so wide, the wheels and everything. To where this is still, it's got that little bit of a four-wheeler side-by-side feel to it, and it handles amazing. So I was very amazed how good this machine handles. So I can just imagine the Ultimate. I kind of regret, I could have afforded it. I could have spent the extra money and got the Ultimate with the electric suspension. I was a little iffy on the, what if that stuff starts breaking? Like, my suspension's not going to break. I mean, it can be anywhere on trail. And I mean, like a seal could go or something. I should say it's not going to break, but the odds of it breaking are way less than something going wrong with your electronics. And then I don't know if you can manually adjust the shock after that. I don't think so. That was the only reason I didn't go with the Ultimate. I just didn't want to have to deal with issues with those shocks. I guess there isn't many problems with them, so maybe I should have tried it. I don't know. But if you do end up getting the Ultimate, it would just handle amazing, because just on one setting, I'm going from moguls to flat trails. It's kind of wet sand, so it was hooking up really good. But yeah, 100% guys, I would go with one of these if you're looking. And if you don't like the looks of them, I know some guys don't like the looks of them. If you're buying a machine based on looks, then you shouldn't worry about what it handles like anyways, I guess. Because you're not buying it for, if you're just buying something based on looks, then I don't know what to say about that. I did my research and everything about this was good, and I'm making this video now to explain to you what I think of it, and I'm happy with it. Like I said, I'm super happy with it. So basically that's it, man. I'm going to end the video here, and make sure you check out all my, if you haven't seen any of my other videos yet, make sure you check out my other videos, and don't forget to subscribe. It's on, just hit the button on the bottom right of the screen. And I'm going to be doing a 1,500 mile review on this very soon. Got another trip coming up to Michigan, a bunch more people, a bunch of new trails I'm going to check out over there. And I'll definitely talk about it in the video where I'm at, where I'm going, and it'll be on the ride command where you can, how you'll be able to find these areas. So again, guys, thanks for watching. That's my thoughts on this. You might not like my thoughts on it. It is what it is. It's just what I think of this, what I thought of the YZ. Both great machines. I'm happy with this purchase. So again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.